All right, in this video, we're going to go over the installation of the squaring stop. The squaring stop is a fixture that will assist us with squaring either other fixtures or, in this case, the stock itself on the bed, keeping it square to the bed for operations. We use it here in our universal clamp operation, and you may find it useful for other jobs as well. When you get to the step that you see on the screen, which is right near the beginning, you'll see it's time to set up the squaring stop, and I'll walk you through how that is done. So first, we need to install what are called T-slot nuts into the T-slot plate. And this is what a T-slot nut looks like. You'll see that it's got one threaded hole through it, and it's also got a little boss or rounded concave thing. The concave side, the side that sticks out, should go on the bottom, and the threaded hole should go on the right. And then they should be installed into the T-slot rail like so. You'll simply put it down into the rail and then slide it over with your finger. And you'll do the same with the second T-slot nut. These will be what will be used to hold the squaring stop down onto the bed. All right, we've installed the T-slot nuts. Next it's time to install the stop itself. We're going to take it with the bolts that it uses, which are M4 by 25 bolts, and we're going to loosely bolt it down so it can slide around, and I'll show you what that means. First off, here's my own squaring stop. You'll notice that mine is 3D printed. The one in the picture is metal. You may have the metal one. If not, there is a 3D model of the squaring stop that you can print out if you like. In either case, you'll want these 25 millimeter long M4 bolts. You'll notice that they just barely poke out the bottom of the stop. That's the right length for them. And you want to orient it such that the hole that is not entirely, like it's half formed, right, like sort of a semicircle, that should be oriented towards the north side of the machine. So when it's oriented that way, let's get it installed and loosely threaded. You'll want to adjust your T-slot nuts so that they are pretty much in line with one another as best you can. And there's some play with this. Once you've done that, you'll take your squaring stop and put it over the nuts such that the bolts will contact the threaded hole. And then you'll take your Allen key and you will thread it down into the T-slot nut. And if you've done it right, if you've placed it on top of the nut properly, you'll quickly feel it start to thread and then bite. And I'm going to snug it right now just to show that it's connected. It's now nice and snug, so I can't move the stop. But we don't actually want it that snug right now, so let's loosen it back up. Loosen to the point where we could slide it, but it's still threaded into the nut. Anyways, we'll do the same with the front bolt, which once again, I've now got it threaded. I was able to get both of those threaded on my first try, but in case you have any problems getting that bolt to go into the hole properly, it may be useful to fully unthread the bolt, take it out of the stop, and then look down the hole and visually see whether you're properly on top of that nut or not. Anyways, now the thing is threaded but not snugged, so if I slide it back and forth, you'll notice it can slide now, and you'll see that the nuts are coming along with it, right? Which of course indicates that they are threaded. All right, our next step is going to be to slide the squaring stop over to the left side. I believe it tells us to move it over on the previous step actually, so we're going to move it over to the left side like so. And now we're going to move the spindle over to a reference position. This may be the first time that you make your Coast Runner move, so when you click next, you'll see that we get a start moving pop-up just to confirm you do want to move the thing. Obviously, this is your warning to make sure that there's nothing in the way of the spindle. Make sure you don't have any hands or body parts in the machine. And once you know you're good to go, click start, and the spindle will move over to what we call a pin stop or a reference stop position. Now here's a good point to note that you were instructed earlier to make sure there was nothing in the machine, which includes nothing installed in the spindle. My spindle doesn't have anything installed in it right now, and you want that also, because if a tool or the collet nut was installed, then the location here would not be quite correct. So make sure that there's nothing on the spindle, and once you've done so, we'll follow the instructions here, which is to slide our squaring stop over until it touches. Now this is not referred to in the CRProj file, but especially for my printed squaring stop, which I think doesn't self-square quite as well as the metal one, I'm going to use my own, like a framer square or something, to assist me in making sure this is square when we install it. So I'm going to move it over, put it up against the stop, and then put the stop against the spindle like so. Now I have pretty good confidence that it's square on the bed. And I will take my Allen key, actually on the next step, you'll see we're going to snug it now. So we're going to take my Allen key and snug the bolt. It doesn't have to be 100% tight right now. In fact, it shouldn't be 100% tight, but just enough to snug it so that when I remove my square, which I'm going to do now, it's not going to move on me. All right, so now it's snug. It's not going to move. And now I can click Next to move the spindle a little bit away from the stop for final tightening, which I will do now. You don't have to Gorilla tighten these bolts down. It's not like they need to be, insanely tight, but give them a good turn. Make sure that they're nice and snug and tight. That's pretty good on mine. It's not going anywhere now. And once you've done that, that's the last step of installing the squaring stop. So we'll stop this video here.